not in a million years. I just think it's so incredible that I can actually have a chance at an Oscar.
Ann-Margret was one of the brightest stars Hollywood ever produced. With her fiery red hair, dazzling smile, magnetic stage presence, and unmatched energy, she became a symbol of glamour during the 1960s. Audiences admired her effortless ability to sing, dance, act, and command every scene she entered. To millions, she appeared to have the perfect life, a beautiful actress living every dream imaginable. But behind the glamorous image was a woman carrying burdens that very few people ever saw. Her journey wasn't simply about becoming famous. It was about surviving the overwhelming pressures that came with fame. Long before Academy Award nominations and standing ovations, she faced heartbreak, dangerous setbacks, painful sacrifices, and constant pressure to live up to an image created by others rather than herself. Ann-Margret was born in Sweden during a time when life was simple but challenging. Her hometown was surrounded by forests and harsh winters, far removed from the glamorous world she would one day enter. Nobody in her small community could have predicted that the quiet little girl growing up there would eventually become one of America's most recognizable entertainers. Her childhood changed dramatically after World War II when her father made the difficult decision to leave Sweden and travel alone to the United States in search of better opportunities. Like countless immigrants before him, he hoped to build a life that would eventually allow his family to join him. For months, Ann-Margret and her mother remained in Sweden, separated by an ocean while waiting for the chance to reunite. When that opportunity finally arrived, she was only 5 years old. The voyage across the Atlantic marked the beginning of an entirely new life. Yet instead of taking his family straight home after they arrived in America, her father surprised them with an unforgettable visit to Radio City Music Hall. For a young child who had never experienced anything like it, the dazzling lights, enormous stage, and breathtaking performances left a lasting impression. Although she couldn't have known it then, that magical experience planted the first seeds of her future career. The family eventually settled near Chicago, where life was far from luxurious. Money was limited and every dollar mattered. Like many immigrant families, they focused on stability rather than comfort. At home, they maintained their Swedish traditions, while outside Ann-Margret tried to adapt to American schools and culture. Balancing two identities wasn't always easy. She spoke Swedish at home, carried an accent, and often felt different from her classmates. Shyness made fitting in even harder. But everything changed the moment music entered her life. Whenever she stepped onto a dance floor, her confidence seemed to appear instantly. The timid little girl transformed into someone fearless and expressive. Her parents quickly recognized this remarkable change and enrolled her in dance lessons. It proved to be one of the most important decisions they ever made. Teachers noticed that she learned choreography with unusual speed and possessed natural rhythm and stage presence. Dancing became more than a hobby. It became her escape and her greatest form of self-expression. As she entered high school, Ann-Margret expanded her talents even further. She participated in theater productions, appeared on local radio, and performed on regional television programs throughout the Chicago area. Every performance strengthened both her confidence and her connection with audiences. Soon she began entering talent competitions and winning them regularly, proving that her abilities extended well beyond dancing. Despite her growing success, she initially chose what seemed like the safer path. After graduating high school, she enrolled at Northwestern University to study speech. A college education promised stability and security, but the stage continued calling her. During weekends, she performed with a small vocal group in Chicago clubs, entertaining audiences with jazz standards and popular songs. Those nightclub performances taught her lessons no classroom ever could. She learned how to keep audiences engaged, recover from mistakes, and maintain her confidence even when crowds paid little attention. These experiences quietly prepared her for much bigger stages ahead. Everything changed when the group accepted an opportunity to perform in Las Vegas. At only 19 years old, Ann-Margret believed she was finally stepping into the entertainment capital of the country. But almost immediately, disappointment followed. The booking they had been promised disappeared, leaving the group scrambling for work. Rather than giving up, they accepted a small engagement at the Dunes Hotel, performing in a lounge where many guests barely noticed they were there. Night after night, they entertained people who were often more interested in conversations and dinner than the performers on stage. Most young entertainers would have viewed it as failure. Ann-Margret treated every performance as another chance to improve. Her persistence soon paid off in a way nobody could have expected. One evening, legendary comedian George Burns happened to see her perform. Unlike others who overlooked the young singer, Burns immediately recognized extraordinary talent. Impressed by what he saw, he rewrote portions of his own Las Vegas show to include her. It was an incredible vote of confidence from one of the entertainment industry's most respected veterans. That single decision transformed her career almost overnight. She moved from an unnoticed lounge performer to appearing in one of Las Vegas' premier showrooms. Recording contracts soon followed, and Hollywood quickly came calling. The young immigrant girl who once struggled to fit into American classrooms suddenly found herself surrounded by the biggest names in show business. Yet as exciting as the opportunity seemed, Hollywood wasn't interested only in Ann-Margret's talent. Studio executives had already decided exactly what kind of star they wanted her to become. That decision would shape the next chapter of her life in ways she never expected. Hollywood wasted no time transforming Ann-Margret into exactly the kind of star it believed audiences wanted. Studio executives enhanced her appearance, intensified her glamorous image, and promoted her as the exciting new bombshell of American cinema. Magazine covers highlighted her beauty, publicity campaigns emphasized her confidence, and before long she had become one of the most talked about young actresses in the country. Yet beneath the carefully crafted image was an artist who wanted to be recognized for far more than her appearance. Her true breakthrough arrived with Bye Bye Birdie. The musical showcased everything she could do. She danced with incredible precision, sang with confidence, and possessed a natural charisma that dominated every scene. Director George Sidney was so impressed by her performance that he personally financed an entirely new opening sequence centered almost exclusively around her after filming had already wrapped. That unusual decision demonstrated just how strongly he believed audiences would fall in love with her. They certainly did. Almost overnight, Ann-Margret became one of Hollywood's hottest new stars. Reporters even began calling her the female Elvis because of her explosive stage presence and electrifying performances. While the comparison was flattering, it also created new challenges. Instead of focusing on her acting ability, much of the industry reduced her to the image of a glamorous sex symbol. Movie after movie placed her in similar roles, preventing audiences from seeing the depth she knew she possessed as a performer. Then came one of the most famous relationships in Hollywood history. During the filming of Viva Las Vegas, Ann-Margret developed a close bond with Elvis Presley. Their chemistry was impossible to ignore. Cast and crew noticed it immediately as the two stars spent countless hours rehearsing, laughing together, and enjoying each other's company long after filming ended each day. Rumors spread rapidly throughout Hollywood. At the time, Elvis was already committed to Priscilla Presley, making every headline surrounding the relationship even more controversial. Those close to the production reportedly worried that the growing attention could become a public relations disaster. Years later, Ann-Margret spoke about Elvis with remarkable respect and dignity. She never sensationalized their relationship, yet she acknowledged that what they shared was deeply meaningful. She later described him as a soulmate, suggesting that their emotional connection remained long after their romantic relationship had ended. When Elvis died in 1977, she quietly entered Graceland through a side entrance to pay her respects privately, avoiding cameras and media attention. It was a deeply personal farewell that reflected the lasting bond they had shared. While the public remained fascinated by her relationship with Elvis, Hollywood slowly began moving on. Several films underperformed during the late 1960s, leading critics to suggest that Ann-Margret's career had already peaked. Ironically, she was still a young actress with many years ahead of her. Yet the industry had begun treating her as though her best days were already over. Instead of waiting for better movie offers, she made a bold decision that many considered risky. She returned to Las Vegas. Rather than seeing it as a step backward, Ann-Margret transformed live entertainment into one of the greatest successes of her career. Her performances became legendary. Every show combined powerful vocals, elaborate choreography, costume changes, comedy, and non-stop energy. Performing sometimes twice each night demanded incredible physical endurance, but audiences couldn't get enough of her. Then tragedy struck. During one performance, Ann-Margret accidentally fell more than 20 feet from an elevated stage platform. The horrifying accident left her with broken facial bones, a shattered jaw, and a broken arm. Doctors were uncertain whether she would ever fully recover, while reconstructive surgery became necessary to repair the devastating injuries to her face. Many believed her career had ended forever. Instead, she shocked everyone. Only weeks after the accident, despite continuing pain and months of recovery still ahead, she returned to the stage. Her determination amazed audiences and critics alike. The comeback transformed public perception. She was no longer admired only for her beauty. People now saw extraordinary courage and resilience behind the glamorous image. Her perseverance soon led to the opportunity she had been waiting for. Director Mike Nichols cast her in Carnal Knowledge, giving Ann-Margret one of the most emotionally demanding roles of her career. Unlike her previous glamorous performances, this character required vulnerability, insecurity, heartbreak, and emotional depth. She delivered one of the finest performances of her life. Critics who had once dismissed her as little more than a beautiful actress suddenly recognized her remarkable talent. The Academy agreed, rewarding her with her first Academy Award nomination. A few years later, another fearless performance in Tommy earned her a second Oscar nomination, permanently changing how Hollywood viewed her. She had finally proven what she had known all along, that she possessed far more than beauty. She was a genuinely gifted actress capable of extraordinary dramatic performances. Away from Hollywood, Ann-Margret finally found stability through her marriage to actor Roger Smith. More than a husband, he became her closest advisor, trusted manager, and strongest supporter. He encouraged her to choose meaningful roles over publicity and constantly reminded her of her abilities whenever Hollywood underestimated her. But happiness brought another painful challenge. Roger was diagnosed with a debilitating neuromuscular disease that gradually robbed him of his independence. As his condition worsened, Ann-Margret quietly stepped away from the spotlight whenever necessary to care for him. She balanced filming schedules with hospitals, treatments, and years of caregiving, never allowing the public to fully see the emotional burden she carried behind the scenes. There was another heartbreak she rarely discussed. For 13 years, Ann-Margret desperately hoped to become a mother. She underwent repeated fertility treatments, facing hope followed by disappointment over and over again. Eventually, she made the painful decision to stop trying. Although she never had biological children, she devoted herself to Roger Smith's children from his previous marriage, becoming a loving stepmother while privately grieving the family she had long imagined. The pressures of fame, career uncertainty, physical recovery, infertility, and caregiving eventually took a personal toll. Ann-Margret later admitted struggling with alcohol and prescription medication during some of the most difficult periods of her life. Even so, she refused to let those struggles define her. She continued rebuilding her life one step at a time, determined to move forward despite every setback. In 2017, after 50 years of marriage, Roger Smith passed away. Losing the man who had been both her husband and greatest supporter could easily have ended her public career. Instead, Ann-Margret chose to honor his memory by continuing to perform, record music, and appear before audiences. She refused to become trapped by nostalgia or sadness. Even well into her 80s, she continued embracing new creative opportunities. Her love of motorcycles, despite multiple accidents throughout her life, remained part of her adventurous spirit. That fearless determination became one of the defining qualities of her remarkable journey. Today, when people compare photographs of Ann-Margret from the 1960s with images of her at 85, many focus on how time has changed her appearance. But perhaps they miss the most important part of the story. Her beauty may have introduced her to the world, but it was never what truly defined her. What endured was her resilience, the strength to survive devastating injuries, career disappointments, addiction, personal heartbreak, infertility, and unimaginable loss without allowing any of them to destroy her spirit. Behind every glamorous photograph was a woman who repeatedly refused to give up. Behind every standing ovation stood someone who had earned every ounce of respect through perseverance rather than perfection. That may ultimately be Ann-Margret's greatest legacy. Not simply that she became one of Hollywood's most unforgettable stars, but that she proved true greatness isn't measured by fame or beauty. It is measured by the courage to stand back up every single time life knocks you down. And that strength continues to inspire audiences around the world today.